Dan Lawless here, West Ham Fan TV. And I'm going to be discussing David Sullivan's interview with Jim White on TalkSport. This was, it was a matter of time. We all knew it was coming, didn't we? Every time they kept leaving their little messages to Jim White, and it was only a matter of time before he would come out. Before I get into it, I want to wish Nicky the best of luck. He's flying out to Turkey for his operation, so I hope it all goes well, and he gets back in better health than he's ever been. So all the best, Nick. Let's get into this. They're desperate, aren't they? They're desperate. The pressure is on. They're feeling the heat, and they will do anything to come now and try and alleviate some of that pressure that they're feeling. Jim White was all about they should be commended for coming on TalkSport. Commended for coming and just talking an absolute load of bollocks to try and pull the wool over everyone's eyes. I don't see why you should get any commendations for that. I've took some notes of some of the things that he said, but my gosh, ridiculous. He talked about, it being difficult to sign players. It's difficult to sign players that clubs don't want to sell. You tell me how it's possible that all these other clubs in the Premier League and even the Championship are signing players. If it's so difficult and clubs don't want to sign players, how comes Newcastle, made all of those really good signings? How comes Wolves are making signings? Southampton, Brighton. I could go on. We're the only other club. I think we're the only club in the Premier League who haven't improved our team from last season. We're the only one. So you tell me how it is so difficult and to sign clubs where no players want to come on, no clubs want to sell their players. Why is that? Why is it only difficult for us? Why are we the ones that are falling short and everyone else are strengthening their team? I just don't get it. I don't understand. He's trying to blame the manager. That was another thing. Talking about how David Moyes, he's not a coach, he's a manager. He would, love to sign some players and, give them to Moyes. But no, they don't do that. They let the manager deal with it. But it's funny as well. We're going to get to he's throwing Pellegrini under the bus, but talks about the only time they've ever done that was for Fabianski and Diop. Interesting. It's like, he can talk about them because don't mind taking credit for Fabianski and Diop, but won't take credit anywhere else. And it's been made public knowledge by Big Sam, by Slaven Bilic, that they get involved, they interfere. And Pellegrini is inferred as much in interviews as well, that he gets involved. Simon Jordan, who was on there, who, he's very hit and miss in some of the stuff that he comes out with, but he was saying that he even knows people that have worked for him. He knows for a fact they get involved in transfers. So that's a lie. Again, we've caught him in a blatant lie, but he should be commended. He should be commended for coming on the radio and lying. Absolute rubbish. So I can understand it. I understand David Moyes. David Moyes, of course, he doesn't want squad players. This is the problem that we've had before. We've just signed like loads of players just for the sake of signing, rather than actually striking my eyes hot and going for, the right players. And this is the problem. Again, where we've taken so much time to do it, all these other players are getting snapped up. The closer you get to deadline day, the more clubs will know that you're desperate. The more they know that your options are running low, so they can demand higher transfer fees. So that's how we get into these situations. He was talking about Tarkowski, saying that, that they don't want to pay 50 million for a 28-year-old centre-back. No fan, I don't know any West Ham fan that have been on the board's back for not paying £50 million for Tarkowski. It's not about Tarkowski. That's not the point. We believe that you have the ability to go and strengthen this team without having to pay 50 million for Tarkowski. There's a whole lot of players out there in the world. There's thousands of players in the world. You are a club, a Premier League club that should have the ability to go and scout players and find areas to improve, whether it's a centre-back, and not have to pay 58 million. Of course, it'd be great to get Tarkowski as Premier League proven player. But again, no one's going to grumble if you say, well, 50 million is too much. Of course it's too much. This isn't the point. It's being made to look like fans are getting up in arms because he won't pay 50 million for Tarkowski. We believe that I believe, personally, that you are wasting your time, Chase. It's just another time-wasting exercise to get Tarkowski. One of the fans rang up and said about it being a smokescreen bid, and Simon Jordan was like, well, what happens if they accept like the 30 million bid? If they accept, then they've got this player on the cheap. But they know they're not going to accept. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the thing. He will make these bids, and to the point of, okay, so if you get Tarkowski for 30 million quid, then you've got him for 30 million quid. You've got a good centre-back there on the cheap. But you're making these low bids when you know what they want is 50 million. So you're going nowhere near the estimation and just wasting time. We've seen it so many times. We've seen it with Bacca and Cavallo and all of this, just these times where they just waste time and time again, waste time on these players. And it just run down the clock on the transfer window. So we get onto the Diangana thing, right? I'm going to be going back and forth from point to point because a lot of them sort of interconnect with each other. But he talks about how, he doesn't regret selling Diangana because we have 8 wingers. We have too many wingers. Let's look at it this way. He talked about Snodgrass, who played yesterday. Now, this is the same guy that slagged off Snodgrass in the media and said how his kids begged him not to sign him. Now he's using him as a reason to sell Diangana. Look, we've got Snodgrass. Why do we need Diangana? Absolute I'm trying not to go into a foul-mouthed rant here, like, honestly. And, he talked about Yarmolenko. He talked about Anderson. Now, let's look at these wingers, right? All the wingers. I mean, where he gets this 8 wingers from, I don't know. I assume he's talking about Lanzini, Snodgrass. Let's say he's talking about Lanzini, Snodgrass, Anderson, Yarmolenko, Bowen. So we got 5. We're talking about Fornals as well. So we got 6. Or Antonio. He's already counting Antonio. He's been playing as a striker. And God knows who else he's talking about for that 8th slot, right? So let's have a look at this. Yarmolenko is a right winger who has injury issues, who's getting on a bit, right? Snodgrass, 33 years old, predominantly right winger, but in my opinion, his best position is played centrally. That's where he played for Hull when he was banging in the goals, right? Who else do you say? Lanzini, again, central player, injury prone, hasn't been in the best form. He's getting closer to 30. Felipe Anderson, again, his position is left wing. He's been playing left wing. Also plays centrally, and in my opinion, he's better in the middle. That's what he's been doing in pre-season, and he's looked phenomenal. It also doesn't help that he has to cover the left-back position because we don't have a solid full-back behind him because the club have penny-pinched on that position. And, also you're looking at a player who maybe wasn't in the best form last season. Like I said, I think he can do well playing in the middle. But yeah, so you might look at him and say, yeah, he's a left winger. Fornals, central player, not a left winger. That's his position. He's number 10. He's been put out on the left. Antonio, a right winger, but being played as a striker. And that's where Moyes prefers him. Bowen, a right winger. So, yeah, sometimes wingers can go from wing to wing, but obviously, as a winger, you have your more comfortable side depending on what foot you're strongest with and how you want to cut in. And Anderson is our only actual proper person you can say is a left winger, and that's not even his strongest position. So you're selling a young, promising left winger so you can put all these have all these makeshift left wingers in his place. That was your reasoning. And Trevor Sinclair came on and he said he saw him and he said he's the real deal. This is someone who himself has played in that position, unbelievable winger himself. And Diangana said, yeah, this kid is a serious talent. He's a real deal. And you've just sold him because you can put Snodgrass on the left. This is why. This is just one of the many reasons why fans are just pissed off with them, because they haven't got a clue. This is it. They don't know football. They have no clue about football whatsoever, and they're running a football club, and they're not hiring people who know football to run it on their behalf. They are running it. David Moyes, I'm telling you now, did not make that decision. There's no way he went, oh, by the way, maybe we can sell Diangana because we've got all these wingers. Now we have to put all these square pegs in round holes. We could have had Diangana in that position all season. It's ridiculous. Then you've got a proper left winger there who's good on the ball, who's quick, who, got a good eye for goal. But no, you're going to play out of position for nows there. Absolutely unbelievable. And this is the thing as well, right? That really pisses me off, because he's sitting there and talking about, oh, it's difficult and that's Tarkowski and clubs don't want to sell their players and it's hard. You mean to tell me not only did you sign one of our most promising young players, but you signed him with no real plan of how that money was going to be spent and nothing lined up. You thought, let's sell him, get the money in. Right, now who can we go and sign? Let's go and get some targets. Oh, can we sign him for 20 mil? Oh, can we sign this player? No. Oh, how can you do that? How can you actually do that? And so now we're facing the prospect of, we've sold Diangana, and by the end of the transfer window, we don't actually spend that money. That's a real possibility, because again, like David Moyes, and quite rightly, does not want to get any player in, because that's what we've done all the time, and that's part of the mess that we're in, and that's the Golden Sullivan way. And you can see that's what he said, that they've asked him, they want to make signings for the sake of making signings. This is the problem. They don't care. They'll think, right, oh, he's available, that's a bargain, this is a bargain. That's what I'm saying. They've got a Del Boy mentality. And that's their background. That is their background. But that's their approach to running a football club. And rather than actually go and think, right, we need to spend the money, we need to put the money in. He talked about, chasing dreams and sign players that haven't improved the club again. So he's blamed Pellegrini. He's talking about investing heavily in Pellegrini. Like I touched on earlier, there's no way he wasn't involved. He had the cheek. He had the gall to sit there and say the fans wanted Pellegrini. They wanted a big name manager and a director of football. We'd give them that. Now we're in the problem with. So we went back to basics and got a British manager. Bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit on that. To sit there and say, well, look, we gave the fans what they wanted and now look what happened. See, this is what happens when we listen to the fans. What a fucking cheek that he has on him. For one, I don't remember any single fan when Moyes went, going, right, Pellegrini, go and get Pellegrini. That's the man for us. We need Pellegrini. Pellegrini's available. They've appointed him, right? That's their appointment. That's their hire. So don't blame the fans for the manager that you hired. You've got all the money in the world to do your due diligence, right? When I say all the money in the world, I mean you have all the means. You have the means to do your due diligence and to really put your research into and look at a plan. You're interviewing the manager. You do the interview. We don't do the interviews. We just see what he's done on paper. That's all we can see. We look at his track record. You actually sit in front of the man and talk to him and sit there and talk about a vision and a plan for the club. Same with Fusilos. That's your pick. No fan was sitting there going, this is the guy we need to bring in. No one was saying we need Husilos. We wanted you as far away from transfers as possible. That's what the fans wanted. That's why we wanted director of football. We wanted someone else to take charge. We wanted dedicated people to get involved and do it. Not David Sullivan and his kids. Not agents. So to sit there and to blame the fans, blaming the fans for, oh yeah, we give them a lot of money, we spend this. You were the one who put the players on the wages that you put them on. You spent the money that you spent. You did those deals. You signed those players, right? Whatever you think, the buck stops with David Sullivan. You got to take responsibility at the top. He signed off on everything. And you have to look at him as well as another manager, another situation of interfering with the manager, and that's where the relationship has broke down. Pellegrini has said as much himself. He's come out recently and spoke to people that he knows. There was the guy who interviewed him in Spain. He hated working for him, and that's where the relationship, Sullivan. That's where the relationship broke down. First season, you look at it. Decent season. Finished top 10 first with all of those new players to it. Yeah, talking about trying their best. We're trying our best. Listen, your best is not good enough. This is the problem. Your best is not good enough for this club. And you just, this is the thing. If you, whatever you're doing, if you haven't got the money, if your best isn't enough, just sell the club. That's all you can do. That's the only thing that you can do now is sell the club. You're pleading poverty. You have got us in this position. And I see Simon Jordan talking about, have you ever made mistakes in your life? And have you ever made mistakes? Everyone makes mistakes. This is the thing. You look at anyone, you put yourself in this position at work, right? In your jobs. If you kept making mistake after mistake after mistake, not just minor mistakes, but big mistake after big mistake after big mistake that cost the company money, you would be fired. You would be let go from your job. Since when is it acceptable to keep making mistake after mistake after mistake? Yeah, the club is theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. However, expect backlash. Don't sit there and expect the fans to go, oh, everyone makes mistakes. No, everyone makes mistakes. Every single time they make a mistake. No, this is, this is the club that we have all grew up, spent our lives supporting and loving and put so much of our own money in. We have spent a lot of money on this club ourselves, and money where a lot of us, we're not rich, but we spend that money. And to say that we have to just sit there and accept mistake after mistake after mistake. No. It's not acceptable to do. Do you know what I mean? If it's the one odd little mistake, yeah, sometimes you try a player and it don't work out. But for fuck's sake, they have literally taken us from our home under the guise of, improving the team and challenging, and it's just made it a complete disaster. Like, that's a big deal. It's like you're making a decision that you can't go back on. At that point, you need to do your due diligence on everything, on the stadium, on the financial side of things, and have a plan. There was no plan. They just thought stadium equals success. David Gold has said it himself. You look at the clubs in the top four in Europe, they all have big stadiums. That's literally this is the stupidity that we're dealing with. They thought big stadium, big team. Like, we're going to be in Europe. That's all we need. There was no plan, no strategy. I mean, you look at it, that first season in the stadium. What did they do? They went out and thought, we need just lots of players. They brought out all these little players on the cheap, right? So we had all these players who just weren't good enough, but we had a big squad. Rather than sit there and try and, improve the team by signing a few real key players that could really improve the team. It was just, a scattergun approach. Quantity over quality. And like I've said before, if they have anything about them, if they are fans, they would sell the club. And I don't want to hear about this bullshit about pandemic. No one wants to buy a club. Because Newcastle were in the midst of an attempted takeover right in the height of lockdown. So just don't talk bollocks. Anyway, I mean, this could go on for an hour. I could honestly, you guys all know. You all know anyway. Everything I'm saying, it probably isn't news to you. If you're not a West Ham fan and you're watching this, maybe it is. Maybe some of the ins and outs might be new to you. But let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to give my opinion on that. We'll probably get more into it on Friday Night Pint on Friday, so look out for that. We will be back with watch-alongs. Well, if the game goes ahead, Moyes and Diop tested positive and Cullen tested positive for coronavirus. I don't even know how the game should be going ahead, really, because we've lost our first choice centre-back and our manager, and we have to go into this game. So I don't know what is going to be going on with football, but they're going to have to take a view on it, because Man City have had players, obviously got the test positive. We've got Leicester City. It's just going to get more out of hand. They're going to have to put a break to it. It's not fair that we have to try now and play games when we have players and our manager missing. Although Alan Irvine isn't a bad deputy by all things considered. He's undefeated so far. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wish Moyes, Diop and Cullen a speedy recovery, and it is just a kick in the teeth with everything that's going on. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, check out our Patreon, and come on you